how do we break down kind of what is happening at this moment in U.S.-China relations and what can we learn from the past? I tried to look at a couple of different pivot events, the EP3 incident, the Tiananmen Square crackdown, global financial crisis, trade, and try to see what lessons can we learn.
So in the 1990s, we used to say there were 3 T's in U.S.-China relations, and I guess we're going to do them today. So it was Tiananmen, Taiwan, and trade.
The massacre, I think, demonstrates how hard it is to engage the Chinese diplomatically on a core interest of theirs, and of course, this core interest was the survival of the Communist Party. We had to advocate to the Chinese government. Jim Lilly was very clear, and the president was very clear with the Chinese that harming the demonstrators in Tiananmen Square and elsewhere would have serious consequences for U.S.-China relations. It, along with the collapse of the Soviet Union, marked the end of the Cold War cooperation between China and the United States.
Let's talk Taiwan for a minute. The most difficult issue I ever have dealt with in U.S.-China negotiating, President Bush met with Premier Wen Jiabao of China at the White House in the Oval Office. And on that occasion, the president said, "We oppose any unilateral decision by either China or Taiwan to change the status quo." Why was this successful? It was successful because we never deviated. It was a TIFA for you who know the Chinese way. It was a formulation. And the Chinese side loves formulations. They loved principled position. To me, George W. Bush did epitomize what is needed in U.S.-China relations. And that is being very clear, precise, and painfully honest.
Well, certainly the final T was an area of opportunity for the United States and not this issue of significant contention. China and the United States wanted WTO accession to happen. But that didn't mean it was going to be easy. It was Ambassador Schwab at the time who said, "You're looking at this wrong. Actually, we're going to take an area of contention out of our bilateral discussions about this burgeoning trade relationship, put it in Geneva, allow it to be dealt with there so that we can continue high-level engagement on strategic issues. Of course, we're going to have a competitive relationship with China, but that doesn't necessarily mean it has to be a confrontational relationship with enmity and a decoupling of our two economies. That certainly isn't going to be promoting American interests.
In the Chinese system, they have very long memories and they know how these things work. And so we as Americans should be aware of what our own history is.
To hear what former officials like Secretary of State Madeleine Albright, United States Trade Representative Charlene Barshevsky, Governor Gary Locke, Admiral Joe Preer, and a dozen other officials have to say about handling a rising China, listen to the U.S. China Dialogue podcast from Georgetown University.